also pronounced Haiti. In Creole, it is spelled Ayiti, and so sometimes some people say Ayiti because of the way that it is spelled. But the proper spelling and the proper pronunciation is Ayiti. That's the way the current natives pronounce the name, and that's the way the natives who were there before Columbus arrived pronounced the name Ayiti. You can spell it Ahiti, or you can spell it Aiti. With the Aiti spelling, you might want to add the trema accent on top of the I, so that people can know that the A and the I should be distinctively pronounced Ayiti. A book called Writings of Columbus was published as part of the Fiction, Fact, and Fancy series. In that book, we can read one of Columbus's letters, titled Deed of Intel. This letter was written in 1498. In it, Columbus wrote, "And it pleased the Lord Almighty that in the year 1492 I should discover the continent of the Indias and many islands, among them Hispaniola, which the Indians call Ayiti, and the Manicangos Cipango." Columbus wrote that the island that he named Hispaniola, the Indians, the natives, called the island Ayiti. That's the same name that the island has today, Ayiti. It is the original name of the island, and it was given that name by the Hebrew children of Jacob. It is a Hebrew word. This is not surprising at all, especially to Christopher Columbus. He wrote in other letters that the gold that King David and King Solomon got and used to build the temple in Jerusalem came from Ophir. Columbus believed that Ayiti is the land of Ophir, and so he knew that the people that he would be encountering in these lands are descendants of the children of Israel. Let's go to another book, the title of which is Christopher Columbus and the Participation of the Jews in the Spanish and Portuguese Discoveries by Dr. M. Kayserling. This book was published in 1894. First, let's go to page 90. We read, "Among the explorers' companions whose names have come down to us, the complete list is lost, there were several men of Jewish stock. For example, Luis de Torres, a Jew who had occupied a position under the governor of Murcia and who was baptized shortly before Columbus sailed. As he understood Hebrew, Chaldee, and some Arabic, Columbus employed him as interpreter." We read again, "As he understood Hebrew, Chaldee, which is Aramaic, and some Arabic, Columbus employed him as interpreter." Well, if you're Christopher Columbus and you're going to lands that are inhabited by the children of Israel, you have to figure that you're going to need a Hebrew interpreter in order to be able to communicate with them. He fully expected that they would speak Hebrew or a language that grew out of Hebrew. On page 95 of this book, we read, In Cuba, Hispaniola, and the other islands which he discovered, Columbus found natives who had their caciques and their own language and traditions. To what race did these aborigines of America belong? Several writers have asserted and have displayed much learning in attempting to prove that the aborigines were descendants of the Jews. This result was reached already in the 16th century by the Spanish clergyman Roldan. His arguments were derived from an unpublished manuscript which he discovered in the library of San Pablo in Seville. Montesinos, who possessed the manuscripts of Luis Lopez, the learned bishop of Quito, was convinced that the Peruvians were of Jewish origin. The view of Roldan and of Gregorio Garcia that the aborigines of America were descendants of the Jews was maintained with many arguments in one and the same year, 1650, independently by the Englishman Thorogood and the Portuguese Jew Manasseh ben Israel, a renowned rabbi of Amsterdam who induced Cromwell to allow the Jews to return to England. A Portuguese, Marano of Villaflor, who, strange to say, also called himself Montesinos and afterwards assumed the name Aaron Levi, informed Manasseh that he had mingled in South America with Jews of the 10 tribes. Manasseh's book attracted much attention and was translated into Latin, Spanish, Dutch, English, Italian, and Hebrew, nor has interest in it ceased even at the present day. In page 98 we read, "Of more interest than the mode of migration is the question whether any analogies in language, in traditions, in religious conceptions, or in religious ceremonies justify the acceptance of this ethnological theory." Roldan's chief argument in support of his view is the language of the Indians in Hispaniola, Cuba, Jamaica, and the adjoining islands. He contends that it has many resemblances to Hebrew. In fact, he even calls it corrupted Hebrew. He asserts that such names as Cuba and Haiti are Hebrew, and that they were first applied by the earliest caciques, the chiefs or leaders who discovered and peopled the islands. It refers us to Appendix 8. So let's go there. When we go to the appendix, we see that it is written in Spanish. It is one of the author's source documents. These are the words of the 16th century Spanish clergyman Roldan. On page 154, we read, "Así Cuba es nombre hebraico." Cuba is a Hebrew name. Further down we read, "La isla española se llama en la lengua Ayiti." We read that Española is called in their language Ayiti. Notice the spelling of Ayiti when presented in the Spanish language. It is A-I-T-I. A-I-T-I. Ayiti. It is called a nombre hebraico, a Hebrew name. Keep that spelling in mind because that was part of our list. A-I-T-I as one of the ways that the name Ayiti is spelled. Let's go to a third book, Haiti, Her History and Her Detractors, written in 1907 by Jacques-Nicolas Laguerre. In this book, in part 1, chapter 1, the author gives the two names of the island, Quisqueya, or as it is spelled in English, Haiti. But he gives us a footnote. When we go down, we see that it is a pronunciation guide to the word that he spelled Haiti. And he informs us that it is to be pronounced A-E-T. A as in alone. The proper pronunciation is Ayiti. This is very important because we have to reconstruct how the word Ayiti should be spelled in Hebrew and also in English. What does Ayiti mean? Does it have the name of the Father? Proverbs 30 offers us some help. In Proverbs 30 verse 1 we read, "The words of Agur, the son of Jakeh, even the prophecy the man spake unto Ethiel, even unto Ethiel and Ukal." In verse 4, "Who hath ascended up into heaven, or descended? Who hath gathered the wind in his fist? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name, if thou canst tell?" What is his name? What is the name of the Father? What is the name of the Son? Say it if you know. The key word in this proverb is Ethiel. A root word of the name Ethiel is the word Iti. The Hebrew pronunciation of the word Iti shows that it is pronounced almost exactly the same way that Et is pronounced in the word Ayiti. Because each one is a Hebrew word, this means that they must be spelled the same way and they must mean the same thing in the Hebrew language. It turns out that the full word Ethiel itself and the word Ayiti also have the exact same meaning. The Father placed the name Ethiel among his holy scriptures so that the name may help to reveal one of his great mysteries to the children of Israel. Why understand the name? By understanding what a name is, and by understanding the name of the Father and the name of the Son, we can identify the name of the daughter of Jerusalem, the modern nation that will become Zion, without the constraints imposed by the doctrines of men, such as the name doctrines taught by our elders that have kept us boxed in to one name, a mere collection of symbols in which there is no power and which is given with no understanding. The name in prophecy, Nehemiah 1 verses 8 and 9. "Remember, I beseech thee, the word that thou commandest thy servant Moses, saying, If ye transgress, I will scatter you abroad among the nations. But if ye turn unto me, and keep my commandments, and do them, though they were of you cast out unto the uttermost part of the heaven, yet will I gather them from thence, and will bring them unto the place that I have chosen to set my name there." The Father told Moses, "If ye transgress," that is, if the children of Israel sin by disobeying his commandments, he will scatter us abroad among the nations, as it is today. That's the condition that we are living in right now. We are scattered because of our sins. Verse 9, but if ye turn unto me and keep my commandments and do them, then even though today we are all over the earth, he will gather us from all the places that we are living in, and he will bring us into the place that he has chosen to set his name there. He will